Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to season 3, everybody.
We are entirely normal.
Oh, we're so normal.
Oh, goodness. We are feeling so normal and regular.
Ugh.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so on to discussions of things we need to do for housekeeping before we do anything else. Let's open up that.
Yes.
We are still doing a giveaway. We are currently 10 away from doing our 300 follower giveaway. And there will be 3 winners that get to make their pick of a Leo or Fee chibi keychain.
Yes.
They're very cute. Look how cute they are.
They're wonderful.
Also, coming up for our $5 tier patrons on March 25th, Battle of McGrath Part 1.
McGrath Part 1. Ooh. Ooh, we're very excited.
Yeah, so that's coming very soon, and it will eventually be released publicly, like after the campaign is over.
Yeah.
But
public release on McGrath. It's gonna be summer 2022, probably. But yeah, going up for the $5 patrons on the 25th, and then the second part's going out in April.
Soon. You'll never be the same again. We won't be, for sure.
We feel so normal. Somebody in the chat just said, hello, gays. Hello.
So, let's get into the playlist.
Talk
for
about
this
episode
week.
10. Ooh.
The opening track of the playlist was the whole being dead thing from Beetlejuice the Musical. We've been cooking this concept for a while now, and I think the best way to explain the whole presence of the whole being dead thing as the opener is that in our initial kind of pitch of the episode, we were going to smash cut into Kimrel doing an orientation presentation.
Yeah. And we didn't end up doing that.
Yeah, but
just because it is a beautiful day on the celestial plane and you are a horrible little death god was too good.
Yeah,
it's too good.
Yeah, and also just but still picture it that way. Like, the whole being dead thing from Beetlejuice the Musical is just Kimrel giving people their fucking orientation into the afterlife. Like, that's what it's supposed to be.
Barry has been using, hey folks, begging your pardon, excuse me, sorry to barge in, as a vocal warm-up for Kimrel for literally a year.
Yeah.
For literally a year. For the Flesh Boy Kimrel voice. Hilarious.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I guess it's okay to go ahead and say that now. Like, we did a lot. No, actually, I'm going to save that for the world building portion, where we go into the character voices. So next song on the playlist was "Up the Wolves" by the Mountain Goats. Duh.
Yeah. We've had this one on an episode playlist before. We brought it back. Here we are. Yeah, our mother has been absent ever since we founded Rome, but there's going to be a party when the wolf comes home. Yeah. Woody, why are you crying?
You have eaten and you have been out. You need to stop.
Anyway, and also we're going to commandeer the local airwaves to tell the neighbors what's been going on, and they will shake their heads and wag their bony fingers in all the wrong directions, and by daybreak we'll be gone.
I'm going to get myself in fighting trim, scope out every angle of unfair advantage. I'm going to bribe the officials. I'm going to kill all the judges. It's going to take you people years to recover from all of the damage.
Oh,
you'll understand the significance of that next week.
And also it worked for the whole dinner party scene.
Mm-hmm.
As did the next song, which is "How Dare You Want More" by the
How
Bleachers.
Dare You Want More by the Bleachers. Yeah, and this is one of those things where, like, I had it in mind for the playlist and it actually informed my dialogue.
Yeah.
Because I did have that Kimrel line of, because this is all your grand design and how dare I want more. So I'm just
sorry
gonna.
if there are any clicking noises. I'm playing with a stem toy.
Yeah, I'm gonna do verse 2 in the second chorus. So,
Yes.
man of secrets, 2 lives he's been living in, stolen identity, stolen dreaming. Who is he? Who is he if he just goes and tells it like it is? I bet he's dying to know. But how dare you want more? How dare you want more? Preacher, preacher, calling from the floor.
Yeah.
And these steps toward faith are so easy for her, but who is she without all this carry and fear? Oh God, she's still my mother, still my wheel. Like,
yeah. Ooh, it's rough. It's
the mommy issue song. This is also going to be on the Oh McGrath playlist.
Yeah, unfortunately. And then I Had the Storm by Monsters and Men, or by Of Monsters and Men, was a Kiva song.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat said, "You'll understand that next week." Worst phrase, fearful.
You have no fucking idea, but okay, yeah.
Anyway, I Had the Storm. I think we used this as a fee song in like Bolt from the Blue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is why it came back.
Yeah, there are a lot of like
callbacks.
Fee and Kiva songs and Leo and Kimrel songs. Yeah.
Yeah. What am I gonna quote from this again? Oh my god. Yeah. I feel it biting. I feel it break my skin. So uninviting. Are you really gonna need me when I'm gone? I fear you won't. I fear you don't. Oof.
There's just something about the dialogue line of I have accepted that the closest I'm gonna get to a great love in my life is you.
Yeah.
Like there's just
I was
something
cooking that
about
one
it
up for months. I was cooking that one up for months.
Yeah.
I was cooking it up for months. Oh, we were very ready for this episode. We were prepared. And then next song on the playlist was All the King's Horses by Carmina.
Which was also a Kiva song. We had talked about how like we had made this a Lorelei song because it was on the Lorelei playlist.
Yes.
But this was the actual like incident and event that made us put this song on playlists. Yeah. But is it still a home when you're all alone?
Run with my hands on my eyes, blind but I'm still alive, free to go back on my own, but is it still a home when you're all alone? And then All the King's Horses and All the King's Men couldn't put me back together again. And then There's a Reason I'm Still Standing. I never knew if I'd be landing, and I will run fast, outlast everyone that said no.
Yeah, that was the Kiva reaction to, the backstab.
Yeah. Very, very. Oh, the feelings. The feelings are bad. And then last song on the playlist.
Here we go.
I've been making jokes about Hosier song, but platonic for like months. And it is because of this song, and it is because this song is a Kimberly and Kiva song. Okay, listen.
In a Week by Hosier, but make it platonic and about sibling love. Yeah.
If you haven't by some chance you haven't heard In a Week by Hosier, it's about
two people decaying.
Yeah, it's about rotting in a field together.
1,000 teeth and years among them, I know. Our hunger's peace, our heartbeats becoming slow. We'll lay here for years or for hours, so long we'd become the flowers. 2 corpses we were, 2 corpses I saw. Like, yeah.
And they'd find us in a week when the weather gets hot, after the insects have made their claim. I'd be home with you. I'd be home with you.
Fucking screams.
Yeah. Lots of opinions. Lots of opinions about just the sentiment of rotting in a field and I'd be home with you. It's very Death Twins. We conceptualized a lot of their dynamic around that song.
Yeah, most of it actually. Yeah.
Oh goodness. That's the playlist. Let's get into the questions.
The first 3 or 4 that we got are all variations on why. We have all caps why. We have my question is, hey, what the fuck? we have firstly Key Smash, how and why.
Yeah.
So we had this engineered and ready to go since the beginning of the campaign.
Yeah.
We had the cosmological lore and the lore of the gods and the divine lore all.
This was, by the way, this is the thing that I did cosmological math for, was I was trying to figure out, I did a lot of math to try and engineer an eventuality where there could be a planet co-orbiting Illyri and have it not enough of a thing that I would have to mention it as anything other than being the moon. And have it conceptually be a thing where people wouldn't notice that, like, hey, there's buildings up there. But I did a lot of math to make that work.
Well, then,
yeah,
we also did like temporal math of like, okay, when did intelligent life on Illyri develop telescopes to be able to look at the moon?
Yep.
Which, again, we're gonna get into more of that next week, but
that is the thing that I couldn't talk about with the cosmological math for a year and a half. That was the thing. That was the whole thing. There was another planet. That was it.
Yeah, co-orbiting planets.
Dragons on the moon.
Yeah, they thought that it was the moon, but it's not a moon. It's a co-orbiting planet, and there are in fact dragons on the moon.
That was the thing. I did like days of math to make this work.
Which, next thing, question, dragons? Yeah, so we have established that a lot of the population on Solea is pretty like draconic flavored. Like there's a lot of dragonborn, there are dragons. Going for the dragon gods, I will say, like, we need to give a nod to Dragon Age as
that's one of the things. I conceptualized it very much as like, I was kind of personally drawing on like the idea of deities being represented equally by a humanoid form and an animal form, like especially going back to like Egyptian mythology. That's a huge thing. And I was kind of leaning on that, especially in a planet that has like a large presence of dragons. That would be something that is associated with inescapable forces of nature, and then by association with the deities of the cultures on that planet.
Yeah, so like the pantheon that we're discussing, you know, like Kimmerl and Kiva's initial pantheon that they were part of, I would think that all gods would have like a humanoid aspect and then a dragon aspect. Yeah,
that was very much
because a lot of the people living on that planet have a lot of draconic shit going on. So
and there are just a lot of dragons. There's just a lot of dragons. There's a lot of dragons on the moon. And that was very much something that I was having and percolating in the back of my brain from pretty much the beginning. So very excited to get to drop that one. Ooh, it took so much like fortitude to keep straight faces when we were talking about Iggy and dragons on the moon.
Because it was right. Like
he was right.
He was right. There are dragons. Well, there
right
were
under
dragons
your
on the
nose.
moon. Yeah,
it was right under your noses. But yeah, so much fortitude to keep straight faces on that one. And then our next question was, please explain your creative process here, because this is a turn I have never and could never expect from this show.
So that was the whole thing. We knew, like, from the old days, the days where we had our fucking poster board out, like scrawling notes on it when we made our dice map and everything. We knew what was going on with Kimmerl and Kiva, and like by extension, Ivarin and their mom. Like we knew that whole story.
Yeah.
But at one point, we looked at each other and we were like,
it was like late at night. We had been planning for days, and we were both burnt out and sleep deprived.
Yeah, and we were like, what is the most ridiculous way we can take this story framing
and give all of this exposition?
And one of us, I don't remember who it was, said office mockumentary.
Yeah, I think it was you. You said office mockumentary. And I said, oh God, office mockumentary that ends in a murder is the funniest thing that has ever happened.
Yeah.
Because it was like late at night and we were sleep deprived. It was the funniest thing either of us had ever heard in our lives. And we had to make it a real episode because we weren't going to top that concept.
No, and like I do agree that the concept in itself is like fucking hilarious. Like, yeah.
Office mockumentary that ends in a murder. Yeah. And also it very much leans into how we do like deities and how we do cosmology, in that like deities are influenced by belief and they reflect what is believed about them. And like the thing in especially recent years where people are like, they take the Greek gods and they're like, yeah, it's an office comedy now. That was kind of in the back of my brain. Like the whole time I was like, oh yeah, people would probably do that in a fantasy world also. Oh goodness. Our next question was, talk about the twins' professional lives. Like they just work for their life goddess mom because. Okay, so Ithona is the creator goddess of the pantheon that Kimberl and Kiva are a part of. She is like, she's not just a life goddess, she is the goddess that, according to the mythology of that pantheon, created everything. Like she created, according to the mythology of that pantheon, life on that planet. Like she is the big boss lady of everyone that believes in Kimberl and Kiva's pantheon. And because death gods are usually so like integral to mythos, like it made sense.
The reason that we made Kimberl and Kiva's mom and dad the way that we did was that we were like, what would make a death god? And we were like, creation plus time.
And we were thinking
death.
about like foundational mythologies and like really old mythological pantheons and the constructions thereof. And we ended up landing on the goddess of creation and the god of time. Yeah, of course, that's where the death deities came from. Excuse me. But yeah, it was very much a concept that was like drawing on a lot of like older mythos and like drawing on certain patterns in mythological like polytheistic pantheons. And they work in the office building because they're important, basically, because
somebody has to handle death.
Yeah, because they're crucial to the mythos. So like the office building was the way of conceptualizing like the central pantheon of the culture that thought up Kimberl and Kiva, like it very much was like a way of conceptualizing like the essential godly functions. So Kimberl and Kiva didn't exactly have a choice.
No, and they didn't, and that feeds into Kimberl's whole thing about why he's pissed about not having a choice. Like he had that line about, oh yeah, like I'm here busting my ass for a job that I never asked for.
Exactly. And then and then our next question was, talk about the dream god stepsister. She's cool. I just thought it would be like very funny.
She's JoJo Siwa. Like, let's not get it twisted.
Not present day JoJo Siwa, like JoJo Siwa from when like we were teenagers. Like tweeny bopper early singing career JoJo Siwa was the concept for Arsena. We just thought it would be so fun. We just thought it would be so fun if we just had shitty little teenagers running around and like had that be the concept of like more minor deities in the pantheon. We just thought it was so fun. And like as soon as we were like, oh yeah, we think one of them can be like the goddess of dreams, we were like, oh, she's tweeny bopper JoJo Siwa in a pair of feety pajamas
with a big ass scrunchie.
Just fully formed from our brains. She came around. Somebody in the chat said two JoJo's he was God. Look, that's just my conceptualization for like Zoomer teenagerdom. Everyone that's like, because I have a younger sibling that's around JoJo Siwa's age, and everything, just the concept in my brain for like teeny bopper shit, because of the age difference I have with my next youngest sibling, is just JoJo Siwa like 6 years ago. I cannot and will not change. I cannot change.
She has a big ass high ponytail.
Yeah,
she has
I
speedy
just
pajamas.
thought it was so fun.
She's really sleepy
so
all the time. Well, and we had with the siblings, because they're the god of fermentation and the goddess of dreams, we had worked in time to that because they all share a dad. So like time plus whatever equals fermentation, and time plus whatever also equals dreams. So, yeah.
That was the base concept for them. We didn't really flesh out like their mom too much because we didn't want to box ourselves into it, and
also she's not around anymore. Yeah.
Well, she's not around for this episode. We've established that she's like somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway. Excuse me. Our next question was, can you talk about like their existence? There is the twins. That question was after that. We just rearranged it in the document. Like talk about afterlife world building real quick. Okay, so we constructed Kimrel and Kiva as two very different types of death deity very intentionally. Like we constructed Kimrel very deliberately as a Reaper deity, and like very because we've changed the associations. The associations with them and like the symbolism with them has changed from when they were on Solea to like modern day Illyri. They've changed drastically. Like we conceptualized Kimrel as a Reaper deity and as fundamentally a war deity. Like you die in battle and Kimrel comes to get you. Was like very much the concept behind him, where we had Kiva as the sort of death deity that presides over the afterlife. Like you'll notice she refers to herself as the goddess of the dead and not death.
And Kimrel refers to himself as the god of death.
Yeah. And that was very like fundamental to the dichotomy between the two of them, and like that was the dynamic we were trying to set up in like the divine space. Is like one of them is a Reaper and the other is like
a psychopomp.
Well, a psychopomp is a guide. So psychopomps can be like various different kinds of death deities, but like it specifically Kiva is the sort of death deity that presides over the afterlife and that judges the dead.
She's the department head. Yeah. Yeah, she figures out where you go after you die. Because I think what we did essentially with the afterlife mechanic is you get put through fucking orientation and then get fed into the corporate machine, because you have talked about how like the people working in accounting were either people that were there to be punished or people that were there to be nerds.
Or nerds that were getting their reward.
It
was somebody in the chat said, Kiva, send me to the death soup.
There is no death soup is the thing, though. Like you get put into a specific department.
Or you get reincarnated. We've established that as like part of the thing, because like
afterlife integration and soul recycling is the name of the department. So like you could get reincarnated.
It was very much it. We didn't go too deep into the mechanics of it because like we didn't want to get like lost in the sauce on this, because it would have been very easy to do that. Like we wanted to have enough that we could flesh it out and we could have a coherent episode about it, but not like get into the minutia of like the theological bullshit. But it was very much like the concept was, okay, either you get reincarnated or you work in the afterlife forever. Was very much the idea.
Fucking Brandon.
God. And the big exception is Mia, who was mortal and died and got to ascend to like demigodhood, which was
being an intern.
Which was being an intern, which we'll talk about a little bit more. Somebody in the chat said death soup is what their mom cooks.
No, it was the primordial soup. Get it right.
That soup might actually taste better. It's bad ziti, folks. Oh goodness. Somebody asked, next question was, talk about the twins. Literally anything you want. I just rotates them in my palm. So true. Well,
they love each other a lot.
Oh, I was very excited. I had cooked up like months ago the very small part of the world building and like the myth building of like I just hope someone takes the concept that the culture that thought up Kimberl and Kiva originally had a myth about the goddess of love being in love with the goddess of the dead and just runs with it. Like, please, you have my full like endorsement. Please run with it. I hope you run with it. I was so excited.
Well, and yeah, like, and on the other side of that, the god of death, like the god of termination of everything, being in love with the god of preservation of history and knowledge is also kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like,
the implied myths behind what we established in this episode are just tasty. Also, we didn't get to talk about Kiva's dogs, but in my head, Kiva, like, you know those illustrations of Hades with like the chariot and like the big hounds? Kiva.
Big dogs.
Yeah. Kiva. And I think there's some Norse deity whose carriage is pulled by wolves or something. Like that was
Freya's carriage is pulled by cats.
Yeah, yes, but I think there's one that is wolves. I don't. Anyway, their dogs are a big thing. But yes, in my head, Kiva just has the two rowdiest like hellhound huskies in the world.
And they just scream.
Yeah. But yeah, that was something that because of all the imagery that there is of like deities of the afterlife associated with hounds is like very much something I was like pepper it in there. So true. I enjoyed that. Our next question was talk about Avarin.
He sucks.
I hope it landed well that I was going for Silicon Valley computer bro in that monologue. I hope it landed well that I was going for like new capitalist like asshole in that one, like an Elon Musk type. God, capitalist tech bro bullshit.
Well, yeah, and then you figure out like, oh, why would someone like Kimberl fall in with someone like that? And it's because you're presenting yourself as being revolutionary and having new ideas, and you don't actually have new ideas. You're just a dick. Like, yeah.
Also, I'm both very sorry and very because we deliberately set him up on first impression to remind people of Soren.
Yeah,
because we wanted to get people with
because we figured that people would do like Leo and Fee parallels to Kimberl and Kiva, and we were like, what if we did a boyfriend character that harkens back to Soren?
Yeah, and that like superficially reminds people of Soren.
Because he's nerdy. Yeah.
That's gonna get people. Most evil thing we've done this season. Oh, Woody. Sorry, our dog got something out of the trash. One moment. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, you. Stop eating plastic. I don't know how you did that. Sorry.
But yeah, we did make Avarin intentionally similar to Soren. just to lull people into a false sense of security.
Yeah. Very proud of that. Not gonna lie. Our next question was, what does a merger involve when you're talking about gods? Okay.
Should we maybe let the pagan here talk about this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go off.
So the idea of what we as people that understand capitalism, it factors into things like different cultures merging and different religions merging, because that has been a thing that has been noted throughout history is various groups of people have come together, their ideas of religion have merged and turned into something totally different at several different points.
And like there's a lot of history of like deities being adapted into other pantheons when cultures start trading between each other.
Oh yeah, like that goes back to like the Egyptian pantheon, and like there are a lot of like synchronized like Greek deities with the Egyptian pantheon. There have been temples to Isis, the Egyptian goddess, discovered in Great Britain. Like so essentially what that means when they're talking about doing a merger, they are talking about the mortal populations that are feeding the gods with their belief, merging and exchanging beliefs. Essentially.
And like they're talking about like the minutia of deity synchronization and about like making myths like work together rather than one of them subsuming the other is like what they were going for. I love history.
Yeah, and we did cut a scene from this episode from the part where Kiva was like in their mom's
we cut
office.
A scene about how much belief influences their self-perception. It ended up not working, but we ended up going further into that and then cutting it later. So sad.
But yeah, it had a lot to do with like gender identity and like,
that was something that was brought up in there, and it was very much like it is very much the idea of deities as we have written them in the setting are very much not their own people. They are what they are believed to be. So it was very granular and getting into it.
Well, and that factors into why Kiva's powers in this episode were so much like sandstorm based. And everything like that.
Because Solea is it's very much a desert planet, at least how I planned it out. So like naturally when Kiva is thought up by a culture that is based in the desert and has that as kind of the natural disaster that can befall them at any moment, their powers are more like sandy based and like wildfires and earthquakes and stuff like that. Whereas when we go to Kiva's, like the belief in Kiva being concentrated in the Zephyr Isles, then we get Kiva as a like hurricane, thunder, rain type deity, or type figure anyway. They're not really a deity in the Stormfolk belief, but yeah. Anyway, the minutia. But like that very much. Yeah, Woody. But yeah, that very much was the explanation behind that, was that the setting that they were in just changed, and thus like the way that the concept of her is expressed changed to fit the people that were mostly the people that mostly believe in them. So I didn't explain that very well.
Well, and then in that same vein, you have like Kimrel being turned into, and again, like a lot of this stuff we're going to be unpacking in the next episode.
Yeah, we don't get into like the minutia of it,
but like the understanding of Kimrel as a god of like justice and maintaining the status quo, like that is not something that he has ever wanted.
Yeah, like that is very much something that is believed of him because it fits the culture that mostly worships him better.
Yeah, and that's why we get all of those scenes with Kimrel and Leo where he's like, oh yeah, you have a choice. Like the narrative of having a choice is something that we have always been baking into the cosmological existential narrative.
We planned all of this out a very long time ago. We have a lot of thoughts. Our next question was, how did Kimberl and Kiva get unfused? You're assuming that they did.
Bold of you to assume that they did.
Have you ever seen Kimberl and Kiva in the same place at the same time?
You have never seen Kimberl and Kiva in the same place at the same time.
You have not. Somebody in the chat said, messed up for Australia in specific to view a previous war god as a justice god.
Wait.
You'll see next week.
Wait.
You'll see. Somebody in the chat just said hello in all caps. Yeah, bold of you to assume Kimberl and Kiva unfused. You saw the two-headed dragon.
And you've never seen the two of them in the same fucking place before.
Except the two-headed dragon. Mesties. Our next question was, Mia Dietz, please. Okay.
Go off.
Okay, so my original Mia concept was not what Mia has become. My original Mia concept was closer in parallel to Leo, but when we decided on Demigod Mia, my first thought was I very much based Mia, once we had decided on Demigod Mia, on Achilles and like the concepts behind Achilles and like ascended demigods and and like that was the idea that I had in my mind for their backstory, was like a war hero who was legendary and was someone that people wrote poems and songs and everything about for years and years after their death.
Yeah. And like that concept also, like, that's one of those things where like, yeah, that could have been a really cool romance for Leo, but like it didn't happen that way. It didn't happen that way, but it could have been really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but like that was very much my concept for their backstory, is like Mia is someone that got thrown into a war and was very, very good at killing people, especially after they lost some people that they cared about a lot. And then they were so good at making war and so good at fucking killing people, and that they left a strong enough impression on both sides of that war that they were remembered for a very long time, and they caught the attention of a war god and a reaper god. Like it
Kimberl,
was,
yeah.
Anyway, this is so sad that Alexa played A Pearl by Mitski. I had it on the Mia playlist for a reason.
Yeah, and like I have so many thoughts about Fen Mia, like as a ship, about the fact that like Mia has been alive for at least at this point like 60,000 years. At least. And looked at Fenandris Tormare and went, no, nobody gets better than this. Like, yeah.
Oh, somebody in the chat in regards to Kimberl and Kiva quoted us, well, they can't be together. You two. We've had this planned from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was my Mia concept very much from the beginning, or not from the beginning, but from the time that we decided that this was their role in the narrative. And we're going to be getting a little more detail on that
next week. Next week, but in the next episode. Yeah.
Just somebody's referencing Buffy in our chat.
I have never watched Buffy in my life, so
I know just enough to know that it's very funny that someone said Anya and Xander vibes about Fenmia. Fuck. Oh no. Yeah. But yeah, and like if you go through the way that we've been writing Mia, I think it would be very fun after listening to these episodes, if anyone has the time, to just go back and look at the Mia scenes. Because once you know the backstory and once you know that they are a demigod centered around violence and their nature is bloodshed, I think they are just so much more fun. The dramatic irony of it all.
I am thinking about the ways that you manufactured them to be a romantic interest for Leo now. Like, oh.
I like Leo Zed though.
Leo Zed's fucking great. Yeah. And I don't regret anything. But would it be so bad if they kissed?
I love that.
I mean, it would. But
thinking about all you little people and all your little problems.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Our next question. Our next question was unrelated but sort of related. Whose courage is God? Because she's a warlock. Warlocks are not pledged to gods usually. Like for instance, Adore is pledged to an archfey.
And so is courage.
Yeah, I believe courage is
same
also
archfey.
Yeah. It's very much. It's not like God focused. It's very like nature spirit focused. They are very druidy flavored warlocks. They do not have a specific god. Somebody in the chat said Mia was a potential love interest, right?
Mia and Ravane. Well, no, because let's talk about what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah,
at the beginning of it.
I set up everybody on season 1, Team Leo, to be a potential love interest for Leo. It was very much Dragon Age rules.
And I did the same thing.
Yeah. It was very fun.
I wasn't expecting you to pick Sabine. Was the only thing that happened with
you expected Philessa, which is fair. Which is fair, but I like Sabine so much. And I wasn't sure who I expected you to go for. I expected you to show a little more interest in both Ravane and Mia because I set them up as bait. But you just laser focused onto Eleonora and Zed. And I was like, okay, well, I'll rewrite these two a little bit. I'll make these two a little less blatantly love interests. Oh, goodness.
No, but also I think that the ultimate, narrative of Mia that you set up of being this like Achilles analog, like that could have worked as a romance thing. Like,
yeah. Oh, and
you remind me of someone I knew once. Something.
You remind me of a lover I took.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Our last question from our patrons this week was...
so open questions after this.
Are Leo and Feast seeing all the stuff we see in the Death Twins episodes too, or is this solely for fans' benefit? Leo and Fee are getting all of the information that you are.
Yeah, like you're viewing it through a more narratively palatable lens. It's more like Leo and Fee are just absorbing it all at once.
Yeah. Leo and Fee are having this information relayed to them. And you are receiving it as fun little episodes rather than having it turbo blasted into your brain like a power washer hose. Which is from a power washer hose, rather.
Which is essentially what's happening to Leo and Fee.
Yeah.
So open question time in the chat.
Open question time. We're gonna riff.
Super quick. I'll be right back.
I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. Somebody in the chat said Leo and Fee screaming about dragons on the moon too, huh? Wait. Oh goodness, dragons on the moon. I was so proud of being able to keep a straight face through Dragons on the Moon. I just Oh goodness. Somebody in the chat said, will they ever get to tell Iggy he was right? If they don't die, then yes. If everyone survives the season, they will have to tell Iggy that he was right eventually. And he will be insufferable about it, as is his right. Oh, I should mention, that's why Mia left in the middle of the Dragons on the Moon conversation. Is Mia left to go, like, get in touch with Kimrel and be like, hey, oh, things are bad. Hello. Oh, goodness. I believe the joke that we made was Mia voice. I have not waited around for 50,000 years to get cock blocked in the last 5 yards by a dwarf in a tinfoil hat. Somebody in the chat said Mia left to laugh, to scream, to be like, this one knows. Mia left to get in contact with Kimmerl and be like, hey, bestie,
help,
help, help. Oh, goodness.
Will they ever get to tell Iggy he was right?
If they don't, I'll die.
I mean, there's a lot of things coming up in the next couple weeks that we can't talk to you about, but yeah.
Not soon. Oh, God.
Can Mia turn into a dragon too? Oh,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Mia. Okay. That, I can say this now. Okay. That's why
an ancient copper dragon.
Mia is an ancient copper dragon mechanically. That's why Mia has so many hit points. That's why Mia has such a high fucking strength modifier. That's why Mia is so like dense. That's why Mia is like in the fucking finale combat in season 1 when Fen like smacked them back into a rock and they broke the rock. Mia's a fucking dragon. That is why that happened. That is how Mia disposed of that body 2 episodes ago.
Copper dragons have acid breath. Yeah.
Mia dragon. Oh, I can talk about Mia dragon. Dragons have an inherent polymorph ability.
So Mia's in the vents is actually Mia has been turning themselves into a fly.
Mia has been in the vents for some of the year that they were in the vents, but mostly Mia was just walking around as like a fly or a mouse or some other small animal that was hard to notice and just going about their fucking business, and nobody can see Mia because nobody's looking at a fly for more than 2 seconds. That's also how Mia appeared in the middle of the embassy party, was because Mia was spying on Fen and on Leo as a fly, and then they dove into the bathroom, fucking polymorphed, and then came back out. That's how that happened. That's how Mia's been doing all of this shit. That's Mia's whole deal, and I can finally talk about it after a year and a half. Yes, Mia can turn into a dragon.
We haven't seen them do it yet, but
not yet.
They can. That is, in fact, Mia's default state.
Yes. Finally, I can speak. I am no longer silent. I was waiting. I had it on the back burner. I was like, oh. But yeah, that's also what happened with the conversation that they had with Fee, where Fee was frightened of them. Dragons have frightful presence. Frightful presence is a move that dragons get in the PHB. So Mia used their frightful presence feature. That's also
well, and in the embassy too, to get people out.
Yeah, in the embassy too. And like that's also why Mia can't fail whiz saves, is because 1, dragons have super high whiz saves, and also Mia has legendary resistances. Yeah. Like that was when Leo tried to what was that? I think it was
a command.
It was a command spell. Leo tried to do a command spell on them like recently, like this season, and they brushed it off because they couldn't fail it. Somebody in the chat said Mia chose to be a cool, sexy little fruit that looks like envy, huh? Exactly. Mia looks exactly how they want. Oh, finally I can speak. Oh, I'm excited. Yes. Oh, goodness.
But yes, Mia is pretty inexorably connected to both of the major gods that we're dealing with in this, like Kimmerl and Eva. Because they worked with them, which we see like in this episode.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see how that plays out in the upcoming episode, which does not take place on Celea.
Mia really has just this inherent shape-shifting ability, and they were like, no, you know what? The ideal body is transmask twink. Femme transmask twink. Somebody in the chat said, talk about Kimberl's job that got buried by Mia Love.
What?
Sorry, clarify that? I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. No, yeah, like Mia died pretty much on the same battlefield as the person that they were in love with, and then Kimberl was like, "No, you work for me now."
Yeah, then Mia, and then Kimberl was like, "This one's funky." Yeah, like it was very much like I said, it's an Achilles analog. Like somebody that Mia cared a lot about died, and Mia went on a fucking rampage, and it took literally an entire battalion of enemy soldiers to take them down because they were just fucking in the paint of it. Oh, okay. The person in chat clarified, like, I asked to talk about Kimberl's job, and then I got distracted by the meow meow. Oh goodness, oh goodness. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, okay. I understand now. Talk about Kimberl's job.
He's a Reaper deity.
He is a Reaper.
He's tied as somebody who spiritually is pagan. He has a lot of inspiration from both Anubis and the Morrigan.
Yeah.
The Morrigan especially as like a war deity that will come down and swoop down over the battlefield and pull the souls of the fallen soldiers out and take them elsewhere.
Yeah, that was very much his original inspiration. He's just, it was very fun to do the dichotomy between Reaper deity and a deity that presides over the afterlife. That was
fun. Well, yeah, and also like the examination of what a dirty job Kimberl's job actually is, like how we did that scene where he was like in this fucking blood-soaked,
spleen on the horns.
Yeah. Well, spleen on the horns at the beginning, but also like at the end of the episode, like he was in the middle of a battlefield, fucking pulling people's souls out of their bodies, and had to dip, and was like, "Hey, Mia, can you cover the rest of this for me?" But like essentially, that's what he does. Yeah. He goes out across battlefields and
not in the modern era anymore, but
no, but at that point,
yeah, because like Reaper deities are very much kind of a very ancient and very kind of baseline mythological concept. Like a guide for the dead is very much something that's been around in the consciousness for a while.
Well, and also people that are very tied to war and tied to like death and battle, which I feel like initially Kimberl was.
Yeah.
Like not anymore.
Not anymore, because now he's worshipped by a culture that wasn't as warlike to begin with. Like there was a big culture shift when they went down to Illyri, and B, like
it's very isolationist.
Yeah, it's very isolationist. Yeah, like that's very much the shift with Kimberl is Ashurian isolationism, and some other things that we'll talk about next week. Oh, we'll talk more next week about all that. Sorry.
But yeah, like 7-minute call. If anybody
7-minute call.
Has
open questions. Go ahead. But yeah. Oh, I'm so glad this episode is out.
Yeah, because now we can go into the like big cosmological shit.
Yes,
yeah, and this has all been present from the beginning.
Yeah,
like we have
like
always.
This was lore we were trying to.
Yeah, the flavor of it and making it an office dramedy was something we came up with much later, but I feel like
before we started recording though.
Yeah.
Very, very happy about how it turned out. Very happy that it's out. Oh, the lore drops. Oh, so glad the lore drops. Finally getting here. But yeah, this week and next week are, we've said before, the biggest lore drops of the campaign, and a lot of things are gonna be put into perspective and are gonna make a little bit of sense. Oh, excuse me. They are not by any means the last big 90-degree turns in the plot. They're not by any means the biggest surprises that we have, but they are the most encompassing lore explanations, which is fun. Next week is, we're so sorry, next week is 2 hours and 9 minutes.
And 50 seconds.
And 50 seconds. We couldn't cut it down any further, and we couldn't split it in half. We should just say that now. We couldn't make it any shorter. We tried so hard. For a while, we were looking at making episodes 11 and 12, and just making the Death Twins a 3-parter, and it just didn't. We couldn't split it. We couldn't cut anything. It's a 2-hour episode. We're sorry. Somebody in the chat said, how did the Kiva murder happen? Like, how premeditated was that? Like, I got it, but also I have a small brain and was focused on them dying.
It was pretty premeditated. I mean,
it was pretty premeditated. It was kicked off by Ivar not getting the promotion. Like, that was the thing that kicked it off, was he didn't get that promotion after the thing that happened with his library and the thing that set him back so far being under Kiva's domain. And then he lost that promotion to Kiva. It was very much, he was like, he felt very entitled to the new position that he expected to get, and he didn't get it, and he lost it to Kiva because of something that was under Kiva's purview. And I think that was the final straw. Making someone look with you for the weapon you're gonna kill them with is so, yeah.
He sucks. He sucks.
Yeah. I think he knew exactly where it was. Honestly, it was an excuse to get her there. Oh, he sucks.
Oh yeah. Like, it was absolutely an excuse to get her there, because Kimmerl was off doing his own thing. Like,
and if you go back, you'll notice he lied about talking to Mia, because Mia was down with Kimmerl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat said, "What's the stars about? Capitalism. You too. You menaces." Yeah. Yeah.
The bad things about the stars are capitalism.
Yeah. But yeah, check the trigger warnings for the next episode. Check the content warnings for the next episode. Check the warnings, please.
Jesus fuck, please.
Please check the warnings. And also, we're so sorry it's 2 hours. Check the content warnings. They go up on Wednesday at noon Pacific time, which is 4 hours ago from now on Wednesday. Somebody in the chat said, laying on the floor, the dragons on the moon are gay.
I mean, they are.
Yeah.
But a lot of them suck.
Somebody in the chat said, who dies, Al? Microphone emoji. Who? Microphone emoji. No one you know.
Yet.
No one you know.
Yet.
1
minute call.
1 minute call. Check the content warning. There are some deaths in there. Check the content warnings. Oh. Check the content warnings.
I am thinking about how crazy people are going to go about episode 11.
Check the content warnings. I'm very excited. There's a lot. I got to do a fun monologue. I got to do possibly the most fun monologue I've gotten to do all campaign. Derogatory.
Huh? I was going to say sorry.
Somebody in chat said it's us that die next episode.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's somebody in the chat said, is it like more brain scrambling than do you mean episode 12
of the series or episode 12?
Or do you mean like episode 10? It's more brain scrambling than this past episode.
Yeah.
Death Twins Part 2
is a lot.
Death Twins Part 1 has nothing on Death Twins Part 2. In my opinion.
No, yeah.
It's got a less fun framing device, but it's yeah, person in the chat confirmed they meant 10. Yeah.
It's worse. It's a lot worse.
It's gonna make a lot of things make a lot of sense. But
it's gonna make so much things make so much sense.
Check the content warnings. I'm so sorry it's 2 hours. But it's gonna put a lot of things in context, and like you'll get what we mean of we couldn't cut anything. There was nothing that was cuttable.
We did our best.
We did our best. And on
but
that
that's
note,
it. Yeah,
we're gonna go. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Check the content warnings.
Please.
It's 2 hours. Oh God. Have fun.
Bye.
Have fun.